the DHK Evening News with Ivan Leung and Isabel.
Good evening, here are the headlines. China marks 60 years of communist rule.
Joseph Yum resigned as the Hong Kong monetary chief.
Sumatra hit by second large earthquake.
And American aid rushed to Sumatra Island after the tsunami hit. Now first, a main story. China celebrated 60 years of communist rule with a massive military parade and lavish ceremonies on Beijing's Tiananmen Square, showing the nation's revival as a global power. Thousands of troops marched into tight formations, flights flew over the city, and world's largest military unveiled its most sophisticated weaponry, including new intercontinental ballistic missiles in patriotic show of the force. Mr. President Hu Jintao extolled the Communist Party. It led the rebirth of speech to invitation-only crowd from Tiananmen's Gate, where Mao Zedong proclaimed the founding of People's Republic on October 1st, 1949. The development and progress of New China over the past 60 years fully proven that only socialism can save China, and only reform opens up is ensure development of China, socialism and Marxism, Mr. Hu told the crowd. President, who is highly correlated by Mao tunic stick style, also declared today a socialist China that faces its future is standing tall and firm in the East. He added that China will make contribution to the world while adhering peace and development. Mr. Hu also pledged to strive for what he complete reunification while pushing forward the development peaceful relationship with Taiwan, and he reiterated that his commitment to Hong Kong and Macau prosperous under the principle one country, two systems.
The chief executive of the Monetary Authority, Joseph Yum, has wrapped up his 16-year tenure as the highest-paid central banker in the world. Speaking after finishing his last day at work yesterday, Mr. Yum said he had been privileged to serve Hong Kong and thanked the public for their confidence in the monetary system. The former director of the Chief Executive's Office, Norman Chun, will replace Mr. Yum.
Now, light rain is forecast for tonight, the National Day's fireworks display in Hong Kong. However, the observatory says the weather is not expected to affect the event.
A lawyer representing the hospital authority has told the Court of Final Appeal that public hospital doctors are not entitled to time off for working overtime. He said that there was an honorarium scheme in place for them. He said the nature of the doctors' duties meant that they were expected to work overtime and to be on call. The appeal has been initiated by about 100 doctors. They earlier rejected an offer of cash for the time worked, which was accepted by more than 90% of their colleagues.
Some national news is that the Beijing was kept under a blanket of tight security as authorities marked the 60 years of communist rule with the country's largest ever military parade and spectacular pageant in this Beijing Central. However, the city's 7 million citizens were excluded from direct participation in the festivals. Authorities says they told them to stay home and watch national television like the rest of the nation. However, hundreds of residents gathered at the railway station, some half-kilometer away from Tiananmen Square, in a bid to get a taste of celebration for themselves. Most of them are unable to get a glimpse of the military parade, but many of them cheered as they heard the process pass by.
The Indonesian island of Sumatra has been hit by a second large earthquake less than a day after an earlier, more powerful tremor caused widespread destruction. The 7-magnitude earthquake struck this morning, 225 kilometers southeast of the quake-hit city of Padang. There were no immediate reports of casualties from the second tremor. However, officials have warned that the death toll from yesterday's 7.6 magnitude could number in the thousands, as many buildings have collapsed, trapping many people under piles of rubble. The first outside rescue teams from the Indonesian Army and Health Ministry have now reached Padang and surrounding towns to reinforce overwhelmed police on the ground. But they are still waiting for the arrival of heavy machinery to help with the rescue process.
Disaster officials have been rushing food, medicines, and temporary mortgage to Samoa after the powerful earthquake unleashed a tsunami that flattened villages, swept cars and people out to the sea. At least 99 people were killed. The survivors fled the waves by more than half to the ground in the South Pacific island after an 8.0 magnitude earthquake. 4 tsunamis wave from 4 to 6 meters high roared ashore to American Samoa after 15 minutes after the quake, reached up to 1.5 kilometers inland. Military transport carrying medical personnel, food, medicine, and other supplies were headed to the stricken island.
An independent report has blamed Georgia for starting last year's 5-day war with Russia, but said Moscow's military response went beyond reasonable limits and violated international law. The report, commissioned by the European Union, said both sides had broken international humanitarian laws and found evidence of ethnic cleansing against ethnic Georgians during Russia's intervention in the rebel province of South Ossetia. Each side said the report backed up its interpretation of the war, but the findings were particularly critical of U.S. ally Georgia's conduct under President Mikhail Saakashvili and are likely to further damage his political standing.
Typhoon Kasana has extended its destructive rampage through Southeast Asia, blowing away the whole village in Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos, and the regional death toll rose up to 331. Kasai killed 246 people in the Philippines were in wicked tropical storm before strengthening over Southeast China Sea and smashing into Vietnam on Tuesday, leaving another 74 dead from flooding and landslide. It moved inland to lash Cambodia Tuesday night, killing 11 more people and causing a meter-high wave flood into Laos on Wednesday, where it was downgraded to a tropical depression.
And finally tonight, the British Prime Minister Gordon Brown has dismissed the decision of Britain's most popular newspaper, The Sun, to support the opposition Conservative Party in the next general election. Mr. Brown said it was the people who decided elections, not newspapers. Under the headline "Labour's Lost It," the paper says that over the last 20 years, Mr. Brown's governing Labour Party had failed in several areas. That's all the news for now. Have a good night.
Yep, enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye-bye.